Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to a Sunday night. It is the Earthmaster here, April 7th, 2024, about 11 p.m. here, California time. Latest activity here on the globe shows a 2.2 into the area of Hawaii. We'll get to earthquake activity here in just a little bit. We have a kind of a big time event going on tomorrow for those that may be able to see the eclipse. So I am here to provide you guys with the latest, most updated information here on the eclipse potential. Now, we're literally less than 24 hours from the eclipse totality time. A lot of folks setting up for this. A lot of folks wanting to see the total eclipse, and I don't blame them. I got to see the total eclipse there back in 2017 in Central Oregon. And man, I tell you what, it was definitely a once-in-a-lifetime event. I would love to see this event here, but I had to cancel my plans here recently because of cloud cover. Now, this is the key messages out here from the National Weather Service for the total eclipse here taking place on Monday, April 8th. A lot of cloud cover possibilities out here. It looks like right now, if you guys are looking for an area to set up, it's going to be around central Arkansas, just west of Little Rock. A window of opportunity possible for the eclipse there on Monday. Down here in central Texas, south central Texas here, where I was going to set up. I was going to set up just outside of the Uvalde area around the Concan, Texas area. I can't remember the exact town, the name, but it's a very little town there outside of the Uvalde area. And I had everything set up, goodness, but I had to cancel it. Down there across that area, we're looking at a high percentage of cloud cover, at least 90% out there across a good portion of Texas. And as you can see, there's not a whole lot of hope here in terms of the viewing potential across Texas. The best bet right now is going to be out there just west of Little Rock and maybe into portions of Paducah area, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, maybe. Now, that's the latest message there from the National Weather Service. Let's go ahead and check out these models ourselves. So this is the GFS model here. The runtime of about, we need to go here to about 18Z for tomorrow. Look at that. A lot of cloud cover. There's the openings potentially out there. So cloud cover in this model is going to be in the blue. Almost 100% cloud coverage out here across the areas of, outside of Dallas-Fort Worth area southward, into Austin, San Antonio. These areas going to be covered with a lot of clouds. There is a possible window up here across northeastern Texas area and into Arkansas here for viewing. Now, a lot of folks believe that the GFS model is very aggressive in terms of over-dramatizing things, right? So let's check out the triple HR model. This here is what a lot of weather forecasters use, a lot of top brand storm chasers like Reed Timmer and a bunch of other people use out here for storm chasing. This is a very accurate model, close to accurate, in terms of forecasting storms, forecasting clouds. And look at this. This is the HRR model for tomorrow, April 8th at 18Z around the totality line. This shows a very aggressive amount of cloud cover out here. So this is even the HRR model is more aggressive than the GFS model. Look at that. So at least there's a little window here across the GFS model. Let's check out the Canadian model here and see what we got. The Canadian model is still showing, I don't know. It almost looks like these guys are lacking in the potential of upper air dynamics. They're forgetting about the southern tropical jet stream here. All the dew points and a lot of humidity coming in here from the Gulf of Mexico. I think this is going to be wrong. This is going to disappoint a lot of people here for the eclipse if they just go by the Canadian model. We just can't go off of one weather model. It's like saying I can't really, I don't want to put this into perspective here, but don't take this as 100% accuracy out here. Now, if we look at the EMSC model, the European model, I got to go over here to Windy, the windy.com site, and we're going to check out the cloud cover for tomorrow around 11 a.m. That'll be 1 p.m. Central Time, right about the time here as the eclipse is taking place, the totality. And it's still very aggressive in terms of cloud cover out here. Roughly Dallas, Texas there, southwestern here for cloud cover. Now, this is a lot of low-level, mid-level moisture out here coming in off the Gulf. A lot of convection going on. They're supposed to have thunderstorms in the morning. So here's 8 a.m. Look at all the cloud cover at 8 a.m. So as we head into later in the day, supposedly those disappear, but I don't see that. There's going to be a lot of high cloud cover out here across the area that may be quite thick in some areas. This lighter gray area that you're seeing out here is high clouds. If we go to the low cloud map, that disappears. It makes the higher cirrus clouds disappear out here. When you go back to the cloud base, you can see that those are obviously some high elevated clouds. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be an issue out here. Arkansas, if there's going to be a spot to go, I think it's going to be Arkansas out here. If I were to drive out here, this would be the area I think I would position myself at in terms of having the most hopeful potential. Because there's going to be a lot of moisture coming in here. Let's go back here to the, I'm going to go back to pivotal weather and check out the lower level moisture out here. Well, this is the precipitable water out here around the totality time. As you can see, there's quite a bit out here across Texas. A lot of storms going to be firing up in the morning and afternoon time period. We may even have thunderstorms popping up during the eclipse. There's actually a big time severe weather threat out here we'll cover here in a little bit. But humidity, dew point, look at this dew point potential out here. A lot of dew point, elevated dew points out here. And of course, what happens when you get all this moisture coming in from the Gulf? You get those clouds rolling in, and I've seen it time and time again out here. Tons of moisture pulling into the area, and that's all coming in from the south here. If you look at the reflectivity, this is going to be thunderstorms around this time. Again, they're supposed to fire up somewhat earlier in the morning, although this model here, the GFS model, not really showing it. Other models are more aggressive with thunderstorms in the morning. A little bit of break before thunderstorms popping up here in the afternoon once again across Texas. If you're looking at areas of... let's go back here and reset this. If you're looking at other areas to chase, or at least not chase, I'm used to chasing storms, right? Chasing the eclipse. You kind of have to look at this weather model and make a little decision where the window of opportunity exists. And that does show some areas outside of Dallas-Fort Worth northeastward here across northeastern Texas into Arkansas. And this is a GFS model around totality time. So this may be a decent area to check. That's a GFS model. When you go over here to the HRRR model, that it just shows a lot more aggressiveness out here. I think it's going to be quite cloudy. Let's check out the current satellite imagery out here across the area. Satellite shows well, there's it looks somewhat clear out here. I can already see the subtropical jet streaming in from the Pacific. There's some of that moisture coming in. Let's pull this last 6 hours up, and we're going to put this into motion and see what happens out here. There is the a little bit of the subtropical jet there in the Texas. Notice that moisture here. There's definitely a lot of upper level moisture as well associated with that subtropical jet. I think it's going to enhance here throughout the evening. I think this is going to pull up a little bit more. Looking at the potential precipitation out here, there's those storms. Although it's showing a little bit more eastward here across the area away from the totality line. So, again, maybe Arkansas area looks somewhat promising there in terms of having a decent clearing. Let me check out the NAM model here and see what we got. This is a different model. This area shown again, Arkansas is somewhat in agreement across many different models. South central Texas area definitely inhibited there by the clouds. A little opportunity up into Illinois and Indiana, but goodness, it's going to be one of those days here, folks, where it's like, surprise, we got clouds or we don't have clouds. It's almost like winning the lottery out here. Someone's going to have a spectacular view in terms of the eclipse out here tomorrow for Monday. Unfortunately, like I said, this area down here across the Uvalde area where I was going to set up I think it's going to be completely cloudy down here in Texas in this area. Got a helicopter flying around outside. Upper air dynamics. Let me see here. Upper air moisture. Let's see what we got. There's going to be a lot of upper air dynamics out here. There's the that's for about tomorrow time frame. A lot of clouds here. I mean, you can see it here. Even though it's not completely green, there's still a lot of upper level moisture there. That's going to create a lot of high clouds out there. So, best of luck to everyone out there that may be able to witness the eclipse tomorrow. It's something that I think everyone here on this planet should at least experience once. I seen the eclipse in Oregon back in 2017. Goodness. I am so glad I made that drive up there for the experience. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for the eclipse there, total eclipse. There's a huge, huge difference between 99% coverage and 100% totality for like 2 or 3, even 4 minutes. I can't explain it. It's just an experience that one has to experience in order to understand the importance of it. So if you can tomorrow, I really have my fingers crossed for those that may be out there and that may be able to see the eclipse here tomorrow. I really hope so. If you guys happen to see the eclipse, please feel free to send me some pictures or video. I will gladly share this on my update tomorrow. I'll be hopeful that a lot of you guys will be able to see it out there in the totality line. Out here in California, we're expecting about 40% coverage, and really, I'm not gonna get out there to see it because 40% is really nothing compared to the 100% totality that I experienced years ago there in Central Oregon. But we do have, you guys got to be careful out there. There's going to be some big-time severe weather events out there tomorrow as well. A lot of traffic congestion going on. A lot of people trying to maybe get home after viewing the eclipse. We're talking about a decent enhanced area out here all across Texas tomorrow. And that includes areas for a huge 5% tornado risk out here around Dallas, Texas area, Waco. Doesn't matter, though. If you're in the 5% or the 2% out here, you may have some tornadoes out there across the area. Wind, and check this out. Ready? Look at that huge hail threat out here. We're talking about baseballs or larger flying out of the sky. So I don't think, with all the traffic out there, a lot of people, unfortunately, they like to hide underneath the overpasses out here when hail starts coming down. Well, that just blocks traffic and ultimately prevents the flow of traffic out there across the highways, and it's not the safest thing to do. Don't hide underneath the highway, underneath the overpasses there, or block traffic. Best thing to do is hopefully try to avoid it. But look at this huge hatch area, and a 30% hatched area at that. San Antonio, Dallas, Texas, Austin, Texas, Fort Worth, Arlington. This is big time spring weather, softball size hail falling out of the sky tomorrow. So just a heads up, not only an eclipse day, but all the traffic and all the people out here attempting to see the eclipse tomorrow is going to have to deal with, not only traffic backing up, but large hailstones falling out of the sky. That's on Monday. Now, day 2 here, well, that weather moves very minimally across areas of eastern Texas here with a huge enhanced area as well, but more of a tornado threat. A 10% hatched area across eastern Texas here. It looks like it's around the Jasper area of Texas. Absolutely love Jasper region. A lot of friendly people out there. But also Houston, Texas, Freeport, Louisiana, Pasadena, Texas area. Big time tornado threat out here on Tuesday. Wind and major hail threats as well. So we're talking about a multi-day severe weather event. This is on, so that's day 3. We have to go over here to the day 4 outlook. This is day 4. Wednesday into Thursday, that severe weather shifts further to the east. But this is technically a week-long severe weather event out here across portions Texas and areas of the south and southeast here. So just a heads up. Goodness, a lot of severe weather out there taking place. All right, let's get into earthquake activity, see what's going on. The latest quake here shows a 2.6 here in Northern California at the southern end here of the Cascadia subduction zone, a mega thrust area 11 kilometers deep here into this region. We definitely noticed a handful of earthquakes out here recently that has been elevated out here in the southern end of that subduction zone. Let me check tremor out here tonight and see what we have. 39 epicenters. Woohoo! That's a big number. Not really. This is a continued decline in tremor activity over the last couple years. Compared to years prior, we've seen regular intervals of large tremor that indicate the slow slip event taking place between the plates down into the subduction zone. So now that we have less tremor activity, I think things are extremely strained out here across the Cascadia. Something's going on, that's for sure. What it means, it's, I guess we'll see what happens. But 39 epicenters of tremor, mostly underneath the Olympia area down there at about 35 to 45 kilometers into the Cascadia subduction zone. The Big Island of Hawaii out here, handful of earthquakes, nothing major going on. I'm going to go back here to California. Didn't mean to skip out on the other stuff out here. Couple earthquakes out here outside of my neck of the woods here. Way up in the Sierra, a couple 2s coming in around the Belden area. Of course, this earthquake activity follows that 4-pointer. Couple 4-pointers out here a couple days ago. Still seeing some aftershock sequences going on there. The Bay Area of San Francisco region, pretty quiet. Southern California, look at that. Very quiet activity out here. Only a handful of smaller quake activity. Yellowstone National Park there in Wyoming. Fairly quiet, but let's just double check, see what's going on out here. Yeah, it looks pretty quiet. I don't even see any wind events out here that would stir up the seismographs, but fairly quiet activity out there. Not a whole lot going on there across that supervolcano, which is good news. One earthquake out here in the southern Oklahoma area from last night. That was a 3.1. Aside from that, a couple earthquakes out here in the last 24 hours, but really nothing major going on. Area of New Jersey, what's going on out here? Any further earthquake activity? The last one shows a 1.3 about 4 o'clock my time. So things have gone down in terms of earthquake multitudes out here. A total tally so far shows 40 earthquakes out here in the last 7 days. Decent amount of earthquake activity, but things have died down here in the last 24 hours. So we'll continue to watch that. But don't let your guard down, right? Don't let your guard down. Some movement down here across the El Salvador area, 5.0 this morning, and also a 4.3 in the Nicaragua area. Pretty deep earthquakes. Both of these earthquakes here down there almost at 200 kilometers deep here into the southern end of the Middle America Trench. Of course, this area very capable of producing some mega quakes out here. Big time subduction zone. And got to watch that. These deeper quakes here tend to give a hint at potentially what may be taking place upstream. Smaller quake activity out here around the South America region with some 2s and 3s. The New Zealand area got a 3.3. Deep activity underneath that area once again. Kermadec Trench showing some activity, some deeper earthquake activity down there as well. That's going to be this earthquake right here, 91 kilometers there into the Kermadec Trench. But also, like I said, there's some deep activity underneath the North Island area, 3.3 coming in today. Just got to watch that area. Definitely showing some movement here recently in the deeper regions. Most of the activity right now happening across this area in a clutter. This is a huge clutter of earthquakes, roughly about Japan southward through Taiwan into the Philippines and the Indonesia Islands area in a big cluster of earthquakes. So definitely a lot going on here. This is a major crunch zone, so to speak. And I call it the crunch zone because if you look at the general GPS plate movement here, these arrows point in the movement of the plates, right? Look where they're all pointing out here in this zone that I'm just talking about. You got the Eurasia plate, the North American plate, the Pacific plate, Australia plate, putting a huge a huge crunch out here in this area, and that is very visible out here today across this area. A couple 5s up here off the coast of Japan, it looks like. Let me bring it down a little bit and see what we got for USGS activity. Seeing a couple 4s out here off the Taiwan area and Japan. Still seeing some aftershock activity out there. Into the Kuril Kamchatka, not a whole lot showing up here for now across that area. It looks like there's some smaller quake activity up here off the coast of Japan in the 3 range. 4.7 coming in the northern end of the Kuril Kamchatka, not being reported here by the USGS. If you look at the USGS map as a standalone map, you would think that things are really not all that active out here. There's a handful of earthquakes, but the bigger picture points to a big-time movement activity out here in terms of clustering going on in this region. So very active. I still think we're going to see some further movement out here around the Filipino plate. We've seen way too much activity here across the Mariana Trench, the Taiwan area. Basically, I would think here that the Philippines would be on the X marks the spot chart in terms of some potential movement with all this activity we've been witnessing out here in the last couple days. So keep an eye here around the Philippines. It just makes sense where the pressure would build up at the most there in that region. China, obviously seeing a lot of earthquake activity up there, but that's very common. Some 4s and 5s and a little clustering going on. Over here around Afghanistan area, it looks like a couple smaller earthquakes. Well, actually, it looks like it's in the area of Tajikistan or Tajikistan. I can't remember exactly which one is the correct pronunciation, but a little 4-pointer out there today. The Mediterranean, pretty quiet in terms of the USGS map. Let's see what we got here on the globe. Actually, it looks pretty quiet out here as well. The Atlantic Ocean, pretty quiet. Not a whole lot of movement stirring up out there. Iceland activity. I know a lot of people asking here recently, what's going on with Iceland? Why are they seeing an elevated flow of lava from this large crater? Well, right now it looks like things have gone back to somewhat normal. Well, there's a lot flowing in there, folks. Definitely a lot of magma flowing in, and this is not a 6 foot high crater. This thing is huge, way larger than it looks here on the image on this video. So it seems as though recently, today, earlier this morning, we've noticed an increasing flow here of magma and the volume of the output here from this main crater. Most likely what happened is we're seeing some of that recent inflation activity there across the Svartsengi area, channeling up to this area, increasing the output within this region. Or potentially we've seen a larger opening underneath this area that's allowing further outflow here across this crater area. Either way, there's still at least one active vent here, and that will continue to flow. This is a long duration event here, working on almost 3 weeks of activity, continuous eruption here in this area. And I think that will continue for quite some time as long as that flow of magma is there. This could be a months-long, if not years-long event, as long as this continues. And no doubt, it looks like maybe there's been a breakage out here on the northern. Yeah, this is. I believe this is looking north here. There's a wall missing right here, right? If you remember, this part here in the back on the northern end was built up. It looks like that northern wall has broken through, and now lava is flowing to the north. Let me see if they put out any updates yet. That's a little odd looking. They haven't. I'm sure there'll be a pretty huge update tomorrow when we come on, because this is put out a few days ago, but there's a lot to talk about in terms of what has taken place out here with that inflow of magma underneath the area, and also the collapse, it looks like, of the northern crater area that's allowing magma to flow to the north now. That could have an adverse effect on the potential flow of where the magma or the lava is going to flow to. Goodness. So we'll look for that tomorrow. A lot going on up there. As far as any distinct earthquake activity, here's the last 12 hours, shows about 25 across various rift zones here of Iceland. Not a whole lot down here across our area of current ongoing activity, but obviously we have a free flow of magma from the deeper areas below the region flowing up to the surface there in that lava field. All right, space weather activity. Anything major going on here, folks? Looks like we're still remaining in the boring flare category. Had a little bit of sea flare activity here recently, but goodness, things are very quiet on the sun right now. 35%, wow, 5% chance for an M flare. I think these are very reasonable because there's not a whole lot of complexity with any of these sunspots. They are very stable. 3628 is about the only area right now of interest. It looks pretty large, right, for a sunspot, but it's fairly stable. We have a couple regions out here that are really not showing any signs of further growth. Not a whole lot of auroras in the forecast. And a look at the far side of the sun. Let's see what we got here in the latest imagery. That's going to be, it was put out, I guess, earlier this morning. That's a massive sunspot region. That's 3615, the one that was producing many M flares while it was on the Earth-facing side of the sun. A ginormous sunspot. It's still looking quite promising here. Hopefully, in the next days and weeks ahead, this will remain active, and we'll see it coming around the eastern limb here. But we got a ways to go. In the meantime, solar activity will remain quiet. All right, I'm trying to think what else there is, folks. We'll see what happens tomorrow with the eclipse. I got my fingers crossed for those that are out there in hopes that you guys see it. If you guys do happen to see it out here, no matter where you're at, and you feel inclined to want to share that to all the viewers here on the Earthmaster channel, please feel free. Send me an email. If you have a video or something you would love to share, pictures, send me an email with your content. earthmastermail@gmail.com is my email. earthmastermail@gmail.com. And give me your location, your name, maybe what you shot the eclipse with, and maybe your experience. You know, what did it feel like? What was your experience? Is it the first time that you experienced a solar eclipse? Second time? Third time? Let us know. And I would be glad to share that on my update tomorrow, since I am not going to be, unfortunately, able to view that. I've been looking forward to this for a couple years, you know, and I had planned, a lot of people planned to see this, but in my area there in Texas where I was going to view it, it's cluttered with clouds. Every single model shows a lot of cloud cover out here outside of the Uvalde area. There's a little town here just in the center of totality. It's 4 minutes and 24 seconds I was going to see. And yeah, it's a bummer. It's definitely a disappointment, because I really wanted to experience this once again. But I'm hopeful that some of you guys will see it tomorrow. Again, feel free to send it to earthmastermail@gmail.com, and of course we'll give you guys credit for it. And a lot of people will see it, no doubt. I hope for the best out there. We'll catch you guys back out here in the morning. Not for sure what time I'm going to do my morning update. It's probably going to be around the time of the totality, which would be around 11 or so California time, 11, 12, 1, 11:30 or so. But maybe I'll try to squeeze one in a little bit earlier. In the meantime, folks, have a good night. Stay safe out there. Be prepared. We'll catch you guys back out here tomorrow for a Monday